Well, happy Friday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alex Bell, and this is To the Point, where we take the time to go in depth into issues that are affecting the lives of Northern Californians. And if you've taken a DNA test to learn more about your ancestry, you might want to check your results again. A new update has changed some customers' results. Testing companies have been working to improve a deficiency that makes some people's results less accurate and less specific than others. For months now, Becca Habegger has been following two women's journeys of discovery as they have experienced this deficiency firsthand.
What makes up someone's identity?
I don't really know much about my life before I was adopted from an orphanage in Wuzhou, China.
What makes you, you?
All my life, a lot of people misidentify me as Filipino.
Is it family?
My answer has always been very complicated because my two moms are my real parents. It's just not even a question.
Is it genetics?
My mom is Vietnamese, 100%, and my dad is 100% Japanese, to our knowledge. So it should be somewhere roughly 50-50.
Justine Bellari of Rockland and Catalina de la Peña, who lives in Sacramento when she's not attending college in New York, have each taken the 23andMe DNA test to learn more about their respective families' genetic history.
I've been wanting to take one ever since I was little.
Catalina took the test last year.
Most people, they know their birth story, they know how they came to be. The one thing that I'll probably always think about for the rest of my life is my birth parents and where they are now, or if they think about me ever.
Adopted as a baby from China, she hoped the results would give her information about the biological family and past she's never known.
I was just kind of expecting I was going to be Chinese. I probably thought maybe I'd have 15% Korean.
But what she learned,
the results were so insane. I really wasn't expecting it at all.
Rocked her sense of identity.
It said I was 85% Vietnamese and then 15% different parts of Chinese. I already felt like a fraud almost in my culture. I couldn't really connect to my Chinese heritage at all growing up, especially growing up in the Midwest, and it was very white, so I just didn't, I think, connect to my culture as much as I would have liked to. When I got the test results back, it felt like the death of my culture all over again, and I was like, oh my God, I don't even know anything about being Vietnamese.
She documented her feelings for a college project she named The Death of My Chinese Self and Rebirth.
I think I'm still kind of trying to process what that means to me.
We just took the test just for funsies.
Justine took the 23andMe test 2 years ago. Her results also came with a surprise. She was 50% Vietnamese as expected, but only 41.5% Japanese.
And then there was this 8% Filipino. It was interesting because a lot of people, they ask if I'm Filipino, and I'm just like, oh no, no I'm not. I'm half Vietnamese, half Japanese, but I guess I am.
And now that Justine and her husband are expecting their first child, this family history is knowledge they can pass along to their daughter.
I'm very proud to be Japanese and Vietnamese. Adding another country in there for me was exciting. Yeah, I'm Filipino too.
But these tests have limits. How specific and accurate your results are depends on where your ancestors are from. When you spit into a tube and send it to a testing company, your DNA is compared to a pool of people with known ancestry called a reference population.
It's looking at who are you genetically similar to.
Dr. Graham Coop is a human evolutionary geneticist and UC Davis professor. He says the specificity and accuracy of someone's results boils down to the testing company's reference population.
If a particular area of the world they don't have a lot of reference individuals from, you won't actually be able to tell whether someone's from that area of the world. Areas which are better covered in their databases, they'll have more granular information about ancestry.
Knowing that different companies have different reference populations,
it's so interesting to know that they can find all that out from spit.
We asked Justine and Catalina if they'd like to take an ancestry DNA test and compare it to their 23andMe results, like Justine's previously unknown Filipino ancestry.
I would be interested to see if that does show up as well.
Okay, so I'm gonna spit into the tube.
Then we packaged up their samples and sent them off for testing.
Very, very interesting.
The Ancestry DNA test results came back in less than a month.
Yeah.
For Catalina,
56% Vietnamese.
Some significantly different numbers.
I guess my first thought immediately is I'm less Vietnamese than I originally thought. Saying I'm 85% Vietnamese to saying I'm half Vietnamese, half Chinese is definitely
a lot to process. Wow, okay.
Justine's Ancestry DNA test results included a total surprise.
So the 23andMe said I was 50% Vietnamese. Ancestry says I'm 30% Vietnamese, which is very interesting. It says I'm 44% Japanese, which kind of aligns with the 23andMe. 10% Filipino. So I am apparently Filipino. And then it says I am 13% Southern China. So I'm Japanese, Vietnamese, Chinese, Filipino. That's a lot of things I didn't know I was. The whole being Filipino was shocking when I found that out. Adding in Chinese, that's even more shocking.
We reached out to both companies to ask about the differing results.
These are estimates based on reference populations, and those reference populations are typically different from one company to the next.
Sam Ancona Esselman is a 23andMe product scientist. She says people with ancestry traceable to island nations like Japan and the Philippines tend to be easier to pinpoint.
A population that's lived on an island for centuries or millennia is typically going to be a lot easier to identify as a distinct population just because of that geographic isolation than a population that, maybe is in the middle of a continent and has had a lot of kind of migration going through it.
Because of extensive migration, she said China proved to be more of a challenge for 23andMe scientists.
China, we knew that there was work to be done.
So they drilled down into a recent study and just earlier this month rolled out an update with more specific genetic populations within China, an update that changed the original results for Catalina.
The updated results from 23andMe are more similar to my original ancestry DNA results.
Instead of 85% Vietnamese, as 23andMe originally reported, Catalina's results now show 63% Vietnamese and more than 20% from the southern Chinese province of Guangxi. Catalina let us share this with 23andMe's scientist.
That's pretty cool to see that she has that really specific ancestry, and Guangxi is actually closer to Vietnam and kind of historically might have a little bit more of that shared genetic ancestry with Vietnam.
We took Ancona Esselman's answers back to Catalina.
The update that 23andMe have done is really great. It's really interesting how reference populations can really just affect your results.
Which brings us back to the question of identity.
It'd be great to get more accurate results on the first time, but I'm really grateful for that because it has helped me realize that identity is something that everyone, struggles with, and it's something that's very fluid and it can be always changing.
A journey of discovery that goes beyond genetics.
Justine is one of our colleagues here at ABC 10, and Catalina is our boss's daughter. We want to thank both of them for sharing their journeys and their discoveries with us these past several months. Quite an intimate journey that they shared with us so publicly, so thank you.
Yeah, and Justine's getting ready to have her baby soon. She just went on maternity leave, and we could not be more thrilled to have an ABC 10 baby. So super excited about that. But you did mention two companies. You mentioned 23andMe and then Ancestry DNA. We heard from 23andMe, but what about Ancestry DNA? What did they have to say about this?
Yeah, so Ancestry DNA didn't provide someone to interview, but they did give us a statement in which they said, like 23andMe, they're constantly working to grow and diversify their reference population. And as they do, they're going to be able to reanalyze your genetic data in greater detail. So bottom line, if you have taken one of these tests in recent years, it's really worth revisiting your results online to see if they have updated. And the good news is you don't have to do anything. You don't have to retest. All you have to do is check those results because they are automatically updated.
Yeah, just refresh your portal. That's all you got to do. And then last question here very quickly. What about privacy? When we talk about DNA and genetics, privacy is always a question that's brought up. What about that?
Yeah, privacy is so important when it comes to DNA testing. And of course, we don't have the time to dive into it deep here, but basically what you need to know is each DNA testing company has its own privacy policy that guides how it protects your genetic data. It's really worth looking into each company's policy before you decide which one to go with or whether to test at all. And in fact, the National Library of Medicine has a great resource on what you need to know before making that decision.
All right, Becca, thank you so much. Always good to see you on a Friday, too. I love that.
Happy Friday.
All right, thanks, Becca.